What if the absolute most dangerous thing you can do for your future is to meticulously build a safety net?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that really goes against basically everything we are taught.
Right. I mean, I want you to really think about that for a second. Picture the classic scenario. You're mapping out your career, your dreams, your major,
Hmm.
and inevitably some well-meaning person leans in and says, "That's a beautiful dream, but make sure you have something to fall back on."
Oh, absolutely. It is entirely woven into our cultural DNA.
It is.
It's like the standard issue advice for anyone stepping out into the world. The
Yeah.
whole underlying assumption is that you need a carefully constructed contingency plan, like a soft landing pad, before you even attempt to walk the tightrope.
Yeah, and the logic seems bulletproof, right? Minimize your risk, protect your downside. But,
Right.
it sounds totally logical until you actually put it under a microscope. And for today's deep dive, we are looking at some source material that, quite frankly, completely shatters that illusion of safety.
It really does. It takes a sledgehammer to it.
We're pulling from excerpts of a wildly powerful graduation speech delivered by Denzel Washington. Specifically, we're working from a version sourced from the YouTube channel Alex Galt's Motivation.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal piece of audio.
It is, and our mission for today's deep dive isn't just to inspire you,
Mhm.
right? It is to completely dismantle this traditional, comfortable understanding of failure that we've all been, spoon-fed,
Mhm.
and to hand you a brand new, highly practical framework for taking risks.
And it's such a vital dismantling process, too,
Mm.
because when you analyze the mechanics of high-level achievement, that conventional wisdom about safety nets starts to look less like a strategic advantage
Right.
and much more like a guaranteed recipe for comfortable mediocrity.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because right out of the gate, Denzel radically rejects the very concept of falling back.
He does. He completely tosses it out.
He essentially argues that if he is going to fall, and I mean, he readily acknowledges that falling is an absolute certainty for anyone who tries anything.
Yeah, you're going to fail.
Right. But he unequivocally refuses to fall backward onto a safety net. If he's going to fall, he wants to fall forward.
Fall forward.
Why? Because if you fall forward, at the very least, you can see exactly what you're about to hit.
The imagery there is incredibly stark, and it sets the whole philosophical baseline for everything else he discusses. Like, falling is inevitable.
Yeah.
He actually anchors this idea with a quote from Nelson Mandela, who famously observed that there is absolutely no passion to be found in playing small.
Hmm.
There is no passion in settling for a life that is less than the one you are actually capable of living.
That's such a heavy thought.
It is.
Hmm.
But Denzel doesn't just, leave it at philosophical quotes. He pairs it with a classic psychological puzzle to mathematically prove his point about the necessity of failure.
Oh, the 9-dot test.
Yes, exactly.
Anyone who has taken like an intro
Oh, for sure.
So you have a grid of 9 dots, 3 rows of 3, right? And the challenge is to connect all 9 dots using only 5 straight lines.
Mm-hmm.
But the kicker is you absolutely cannot lift your pencil off the paper.
Right, and the catch is, if you keep your pencil strictly within the imaginary boundary created by the outer edges of those 9 dots,
Yeah.
solving the puzzle is mathematically impossible.
Oh, wow.
The test, physically, geometrically, requires you to draw your lines outside the box. It demands that you extend beyond those established safe borders.
That is so interesting.
And that is exactly the mechanism Denzel is highlighting regarding failure. Success requires stepping out of bounds. He actually points to Reggie Jackson as a prime example of this.
Okay.
Jackson struck out 2,600 times during his baseball career.
Wait, hold on. 2,600 times?
2,600, yes.
That means he spent literally years of his professional life just like taking the walk of shame back to the dugout.
Precisely. That is the highest number of strikeouts in the entire history of Major League Baseball. He holds the record for failing to hit the ball.
That is wild.
But nobody sits around debating Reggie Jackson's strikeout record. Right?
Mm-hmm.
He is enshrined in history solely for the home runs.
Exactly.
Or consider Thomas Edison. Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments before he finally succeeded in creating a working light bulb. 1,000 complete failures.
Okay, I get the Edison analogy, but I have to push back here for just a second.
Sure, go ahead.
Isn't there like a massive survivorship bias at play when we talk about this?
How do you mean?
Well, we only celebrate Edison or Reggie Jackson because attempt number 1,001 happened to work out.
Fair point.
We don't exactly print motivational posters about the guy who failed 1,000 times and just, went bankrupt. So how is this falling forward mentality not just a reckless gamble?
What's fascinating here is the psychology and the methodology behind an Edison. You have to radically redefine what failure actually is in this context.
Okay, redefine it how?
Well, Denzel is arguing that failure isn't a gamble, and it certainly isn't a permanent stain on your character. It is a mandatory data gathering phase.
A data gathering phase. I like that.
Right. Edison didn't fail 1,000 times in the sense of making reckless, uninformed bets. He systematically and successfully eliminated 1,000 ways not to invent the light bulb.
Ah, I see.
Every single failed experiment was simply one required step closer to the inevitable success, because he extracted the data from the collision.
He learned what didn't work.
Exactly. Falling forward means you hit the ground, you look at what tripped you up, you collect that specific data point, and you apply it to the next attempt.
That reframing actually makes a lot of sense. The problem with the standard logic of safety nets is that they prevent you from ever gathering that data in the first place.
Yes, they insulate you too much.
Having a fallback plan is like driving your car with the emergency brake pulled all the way up.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. I mean, sure, it feels incredibly safe. You feel like you are totally in control of the vehicle, but it fundamentally prevents you from ever reaching top speed. The engine is screaming, you're working twice as hard, you smell burning rubber, and you're wondering why you aren't getting anywhere fast.
Yep.
It's because, mechanically speaking, you are actively preparing to stop. You're bracing for impact instead of accelerating.
That is a perfect mechanical translation of what Denzel is warning against.
What?
The safety net absorbs the impact so well that you never actually learn what the ground feels like. You never gather the necessary data.
But, let's bring this down to earth for a minute.
Okay.
It is really easy to talk about historical inventors and Hall of Fame athletes. They had very clear, singular goals: invent a bulb, hit a baseball.
True.
But when we transition into the messy, chaotic reality of a normal human career, especially for someone listening to this right now who might be 20 years old and have absolutely no idea what their goal even is.
Right, which is most people.
Yeah. What does falling forward actually look like in that scenario? Denzel makes it clear this isn't just abstract theory for him, right?
Not at all. It is deeply, painfully personal. He outlines his own agonizing path in this speech, and what becomes immediately apparent is that failure served as his primary navigation system.
Navigation system.
Yeah, it wasn't a roadblock stopping his journey. It was the compass directing it.
He tells the story about his early days as an actor, and it's so relatable. He goes into an audition for a part in a Broadway musical, and in his mind, this is the perfect role. He wants it so badly. But there is one glaring, unavoidable reality.
He cannot sing.
He literally cannot sing. He doesn't have the instrument for it. And predictably, he completely bombs the audition. Just terrible.
I can only imagine how awkward that was.
Oh, brutal. He obviously doesn't get the job. But the crucial detail here is that he didn't view that failure as a signal to quit acting entirely. And he didn't trigger his fallback plan. He just walked out of that theater, recalibrated, and started preparing for the next audition and then the next.
And he contextualizes this relentless forward motion with an incredibly pragmatic old barbershop proverb that I just love.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
He says, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're going to get a haircut.
That is so good.
It really speaks to the absolute unglamorous necessity of consistency. You just have to stay in the room.
You have to keep showing up.
Keep showing up, even when you are carrying the fresh embarrassment of a terrible musical audition. Consistency is the only way you survive long enough to catch the break.
And the payoff to that specific story is phenomenal. 30 years after that disastrous musical audition, Denzel finally catches a massive Broadway break.
Yep.
He stars in the dramatic play Fences on Broadway. And guess where it was staged?
The Court Theater.
The exact same physical building where he had bombed that singing audition 3 decades earlier. That is just, you can't write that.
It's a masterful illustration of the principle. But, to your earlier point about not knowing what your goal is, we really have to look at his life before acting was even a consideration.
Oh, right. College.
Yeah. He experienced a catastrophic academic failure at Fordham University.
Yes, and this is the part that I think is going to resonate so heavily with you listening right now. He starts out at Fordham as a pre-med student. He is on this notoriously difficult highly respected track.
The ultimate safe, prestigious path.
Exactly. And he hits a brick wall in a course called cardiac morphogenesis.
Just the name of it sounds terrifying.
I know. And he freely admits in the speech that he couldn't read the material, he couldn't pronounce the words properly, and he absolutely couldn't pass the class.
So he pivots.
Right. He scrambles. He bounces over to pre-law. That doesn't stick. He pivots to journalism. Nothing is clicking.
Yeah.
He has zero academic focus. His grades completely tank, and he bottoms out with a 1.8 GPA.
A 1.8 GPA at 20 years old.
Ouch.
And Fordham University very politely suggests that he take some time off. They politely show him the door. He explicitly identifies this moment as his absolute lowest point. He is completely adrift.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because normally, society looks at a 1.8 GPA and getting kicked out of college as an unmitigated disaster.
Oh, it's the ultimate cautionary tale.
Right. But if we apply this new framework we're talking about, failure isn't a dead-end sign. It is a course correction mechanism. It's a GPS system aggressively saying, recalculating. The friction he felt wasn't him being broken. It was the guardrails of his life forcibly routing him away from what he was never meant to do,
Yes.
away from cardiac morphogenesis and pushing him toward what he actually possessed the talent for.
That is the crucial paradigm shift. The failure itself is the exact mechanism that corrects the course.
Exactly.
And Denzel distills this into a stark, unforgiving truth. He says, if you don't fail, you're not even trying. He actually repeats it in the speech to make sure it lands. If you don't fail, you are not even trying. Because to get something you never had, you had to do something you never did.
That makes perfect sense.
When we deeply analyze his 1.8 GPA, it wasn't a tragedy at all. It was the precise, mathematically required, lowest point needed to spark his true trajectory.
Right. Think about the alternative.
What if he had stayed?
Exactly. What if he had played it safe? What if he had hired a tutor, ground it out, and managed to scrape by with like a C- in cardiac morphogenesis?
Oh, man.
He might have spent the next 40 years as a deeply unfulfilled doctor, safely executing his fallback plan, but completely depriving the world of one of the greatest actors of our generation.
Wow.
The failure was literally the best thing that ever happened to him.
You would have settled for a life less than the one he was capable of living, which is exactly what Mandela warned against.
Exactly.
And this brings us to a massive philosophical pivot in the source material.
Okay, let's hear it.
If failure is actually this incredibly useful navigation tool, and we shouldn't fear it, what is the real danger? What should we legitimately be afraid of?
Oh, yeah. The text shifts the focus entirely away from the fear of public embarrassment. And it points directly at a much darker, much more permanent terror, which is the fear of regret. And Denzel delivers an emotional climax in this speech that is, honestly, it's haunting.
It really is. It's the emotional core of his entire argument.
Yeah.
He asks the listener to engage in a very specific thought experiment.
So imagine you are lying on your deathbed,
Okay.
and standing around your bed are ghosts. But these aren't the literal ghosts of deceased relatives, right?
Okay.
They represent your own unfulfilled potential.
Right.
They are the ghosts of all the brilliant ideas you never acted on, the ghosts of the unique, specific talents you were given but never bothered to use because it was just too risky. And he paints this visceral picture of these entities standing around your bed. And they aren't sad. They are angry.
They're furious.
Yes. They are deeply disappointed. They look down at you and say, "We came to you because you could have brought us to life. And now we have to go to the grave together."
We have to go to the grave together. This raises an important question regarding personal accountability.
How so?
Well, we spend so much of our daily lives paralyzed by these micro fears of public embarrassment. We don't want to try the new major and look foolish. We don't want to bomb the audition.
Right, the small stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Denzel strips away that superficial fear and reveals that the ultimate profound tragedy of human existence is hoarding your potential until it literally dies with you.
It fundamentally changes how you view your own abilities. Because
Yeah.
when I think about those ghosts, it's like realizing you've been sitting on a winning lottery ticket your entire life, but you're just too afraid of getting a paper cut to ever open the envelope.
Oh, that's a brilliant way to put it.
And the tragedy isn't just that you didn't cash it in to make your own life better. The real tragedy is that the currency expires the second you do.
Yep.
Those ghosts are like unopened software updates for your life. If you ignore the prompts and never install them because it's inconvenient, eventually your whole system just crashes
Yeah.
and they go down with you.
And He poses the question directly to the audience. How many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes?
Oh, man.
It's demand that you audit your current choices. Why are we so wired to prioritize short-term comfort over long-term fulfillment and legacy?
It hits incredibly hard. So if the ultimate goal of our lives is to have zero ghosts at the end of the line, if we are strictly forbidden from hoarding our potential,
Right.
what exactly are we supposed to do with it?
Right.
Where do we direct all this energy, this risk-taking, and this falling forward? Because up to this point, it sounds like standard individualistic self-help, but he makes it very clear that this isn't just about getting rich or getting your name in lights.
Far from it.
Yeah.
The final major theme of the source material reveals that true success and the true reason we are obligated to take risks isn't about personal ambition whatsoever. It is fundamentally about serving a world that is in desperate need of whatever it is you possess.
He shares this incredible origin story about his own sense of purpose, and he pinpoints the exact date, March 27, 1975. Think about where he is in his life on that date. He is at that absolute lowest point we just talked about, the 1.8 GPA era. He has no direction.
Right.
He's sitting in his mother's beauty shop up in Mount Vernon, just helping her out. And there is an older woman in the shop, someone considered one of the respected elders in the town.
Yeah, he doesn't even really know her.
No, he doesn't know her personally, but he keeps catching her staring at him through the mirror. Finally, she takes the hairdryer off her head, looks right at him, and delivers a spiritual prophecy.
Wow.
She says, "Young boy, I have a prophecy. You are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people."
The staggering thing to hear when you are actively failing out of college.
Right. Like, sure, lady, I can't even pass biology.
Exactly. But the beautiful realization he shares is how that prophecy actually manifested. In the decades that followed, he did exactly what she said.
He really did.
He traveled the world, he spoke to millions of people.
Yeah.
But he did it through the medium of his movies. He reached millions of youth who he couldn't physically see and who couldn't see the real him in that moment, but who were profoundly impacted by the work he bravely put out into the world.
And he takes that realization, looks out at the youth today, and tells them he is encouraged by them because the world desperately needs what they have. He issues this sweeping global call to action. He notes that he just got back from South Africa witnessing terrible poverty. But he quickly adds that Africa is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
The Middle East needs help. Japan needs help. But also, right here at home, Alabama needs help. Tennessee, Louisiana, Philadelphia. The world is hurting. It needs a lot, and it needs it specifically from you.
He is asking for a total, unconditional mobilization of whatever resources the listener possesses. He demands that you give everything you've got. And he is incredibly careful to define what everything means. He isn't just asking for financial donations,
Right.
He says it could be your time, your specific talent, your prayers, or your treasures.
Yeah.
It genuinely doesn't matter if you are a business major, a theologian, a nurse, or a sociologist.
He lists these very intimate, non-traditional gifts, too.
Yes, maybe your unique gift is patience. Maybe it's kindness, maybe it's love, or even the incredibly difficult gift of long suffering. The core, unavoidable question is, what are you going to do with what you have?
So what does this all mean? When you boil all of Denzel's philosophy down, your unique talents aren't a savings account.
No.
You aren't supposed to hoard them, protect them from the elements, and let them sit safely in a vault so you can occasionally admire them. Your talents, your patience, your intellect, your kindness, they are a currency.
A currency, I love that.
And mathematically, a currency is only valuable when it is actively circulated in the world. If you hide $1 million under your mattress, it's economically useless. You have to spend your currency on other people.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is Denzel's ultimate, redefined concept of risk. Taking a risk is not just about boldly submitting a resume for a job you might not get.
Right.
True risk is about profound vulnerability. It's about knowing what you know and humbling yourself enough to admit what you don't know. It's about being radically open to new people and new ideas.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he argues that the sum total of your life will be defined by the faith you have, the people you choose to love, and the chances you boldly take on their behalf.
I love the way that ties everything together. So, as we wrap up today's deep dive, I want you to really absorb this new framework. We've learned that the comfortable fallback plan everyone pressured you to build is largely an illusion that actively prevents you from reaching top speed.
Exactly.
We've learned that failure isn't a permanent character flaw, it's a required data point. It is a course correction mechanism, a GPS recalculating your route, just like Edison's 1,000 attempts or Denzel's 1.8 GPA. And most importantly, we've learned that we owe it to a hurting world and to the ghosts of our own potential to aggressively spend our unique currency before our time is up.
It is a profound shift in how we view our trajectory, and it leaves us with something critical to examine.
What's that?
Well, if our gifts are strictly meant to be given away, and our failures are guaranteed to be the necessary stepping stones to our true path, what if the most genuinely selfish thing you can do in life is to play it safe?
Wow.
If you had a 100% guarantee that your very next major embarrassing failure would be the exact catalyst for your greatest success, what risk would you take tomorrow morning?
That is the exact question I want you to carry with you this week. Don't hide your currency under the mattress. Never hold back. Give the world everything you've got. And remember, when you inevitably stumble, make absolutely sure you fall forward. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.